back to The Civilized Savage. Just want to take a quick moment to thank everyone that's already subscribed to the channel. That is greatly appreciated. I really appreciate your support. For those that are new to the channel or haven't yet subscribed, please go along, hit the little subscribe button at the bottom. It makes a big difference to me. Appreciate your support, and it allows me the opportunity to keep bringing you more and more content that hopefully is adding value to your life. And if you like the content, please share it with your friends so we can build a community, a strong community, where men can help other men become better men. One of the things I've been looking at over the last few weeks is 3 decisions that we can make on a daily basis to help us bring a sense of control back into our lives. And that is what to focus on, what are we going to make that mean, and then thirdly, what are we going to do next. And just a quick recap, if we look at the things that we're going to focus on, I guess one of the things I've read very recently is that the media is not very good at telling us what to think. We all have our own independent minds. We get the opportunity to make up our own decisions about what is going on in the world. But where they're very, very good, and how they manipulate us in many ways, is that they're very good at telling us what to think about. So take a moment to think about that. They're very good at telling us what to think about. And they do that by what they put on the TVs, what they put into the newspapers. And at the moment, we're right in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic crisis, and that's all we have seen for probably the last 6 to 8 weeks. The number of deaths that are going on, the number of restrictions and lockdowns that are going on around the world, the amount of isolation that we had to do, social distancing, all the things that can sometimes be really depressing. They can bring people down. People feel restricted, and that creates a sense of overwhelm. And I guess that's where we're going to head to today, is how do we deal with that? Because overwhelm is a sure path to failure. There's just so much going on that we really struggle to find out, what are we going to do next? Where do we start? And sometimes the problem gets so big, it is actually hard to work out where to start. So you're not abnormal, you're not crazy if you fit into this category. Most of us do. But the challenge is, how do we step out of that? I know in the military, if there's a particular course or particular specialization that we really need people to be able to think clearly, be able to process a lot of information or conflicting information all at the same time, or the task or mission becomes very complex, a good way to fail people off those courses is to make them go into a sense of overwhelm. And it's very easy to do, make them see the big picture always. All these things that they need to do to graduate. The people that get through those courses successfully, though, are the ones who can just break down to the next step. What is it that I need to get done before lunch? What do I need to do to get me through that next cycle until afternoon tea? What's in the next cycle to get me through till dinner time? Okay, then I'm going to get a couple of hours sleep, and then I can get on to the next one. And that's really the best way to get around overwhelm, because overwhelm is designed, unconsciously we do that to sort of shut the body down. When we get into a sense of overwhelm, we can shut down and we don't get the results that we need. So the best way around that is to get really clear on the objective. What is it that you want to achieve? Look at the big picture, sure. And I know that probably contradicts what I just said, because we try to get all the big picture, but in overwhelm, we're not just seeing the big picture, we're just seeing everything else that needs to be done all at the same time, or it feels like it needs to be done at the same time. And we don't know which one to start with. But when you see the big picture, you know the direction that you want to take, and I think that's really important. A lot of people in life, especially the people that I've coached, so for those that aren't aware, I've been an executive and business coach for well over a decade. And most people will move away from the things that they don't want in life, but rarely will they move towards the things that they do want in life, because they don't really know what they want. They know what they don't want because they're experiencing it. They feel the pain when they're there. And so they go, if I go over here, that'll be better. If I go over there, that'll be better. And they'll go over there and they'll go over here. And they get there and the same things are happening to them, which is really sad. And so once they get tired of that, they'll move on to the next new thing and then to the next new thing. And you may be one of those people, but I'm sure you've actually met people who are like that. They're never really quite satisfied. There's always something else that they're looking for in life. That's because they haven't got clear on the outcome. They haven't got clear on what their passion is, what their purpose is. And when you can get clear on that, then your direction, or the end state at least, is very clear. It doesn't matter what path you take to get to your end state, but you need to know what your end state is. And I think if there's a lot going on and you do feel that sense of overwhelm, just take a deep breath. Actually, I had one of my clients come up to me once And it was a bit unexpected actually, because there's a corporate client, and this guy came up to me and goes, look, I always remember I was sitting in one of your workshops, and he said, I was feeling really overwhelmed at the particular time, and he said, you just told me to breathe. And he said at the time, he said it took me back a bit because, you know, I'm an adult, like this guy was an adult, like he's in his 40s, and here is someone else saying, mate, just breathe. And he had forgotten to breathe. Just take that step right back, take a deep breath. And when we can do that, allow the oxygen to flow through the body, it comes with a bit of sense of clarity. But it also allows us a little bit of gap between our stimulus and our response to go, what am I making that mean? What am I going to make that mean? And then we can go to the next step, which is what am I going to do next? So in that breath, in that gap, we can start to reprioritize the things that we need to do. What's the next thing that I can do to move me towards my now new goal? And sometimes it may not be the right thing, but at least you're taking a step. And I think that's really important because it's very easy to be busy. I see plenty of business owners who spend their time being busy, but not necessarily productive. So what do I mean by that? A lot of people, there's a term called constructive avoidance, right? And really it's just an elegant way of saying procrastination. They know what they need to do, but there's some fun stuff over here that's really cool. They might be picking pictures for their website, or they might be, you know, formatting something over here, or they might be doing some research. And I know, especially in the business intelligence space that I work in a fair bit, analysis, they call it paralysis by analysis. It's very good fun to be going through the numbers and checking things and coming up with these plans, but the plans are no good unless you actually implement something. Right? So don't get stuck in the busy cycle. Get stuck in the productive cycle. What is the thing that you're going to get out of doing from the task that you are doing? What's the end product? What's the end desire, end state that you're going to do? Is it going to be a new web page at the end of the day? Great. Pick the right picture. But remember, you only really need an 80% solution, because if you always go for that 100% solution, you're falling into that bracket of being a perfectionist. Now I know there's going to be some of you out there that go, I am a perfectionist and I like things to be done right. If it's not worth doing right, it's not worth doing at all. Yep, heard it all before. But if you're a perfectionist, I'll put it to you today that you don't have any standards. Yep, no standards. And the reason I say that is because if you have a standard, the definition of a standard is that you can meet it. There's certain things that you can do along the way, then you'll meet the standard. But as a perfectionist, it's never good enough. Ever. Right? So, therefore you have no standard. To meet the standard, you need to be able to do something to meet it. If it's never ever good enough, so if the picture isn't quite right, the shade's not right, the angle isn't quite right of your video, whatever it's going to be, then you're never going to meet that standard. So pick 80%. I always say 80% solution is better than a 0% outcome. Okay, so go for the 80% solution. But also work out what your time frame is. So there's some steps that we're going to be looking at here. Big picture, what's the end outcome? Just take a breath. Focus and reprioritize what's really important to you. Make a commitment to yourself that you're only going to go for the 80% solution. Once it's out there, once it's operating, then you can refine it. For those that have seen some of my earlier videos, so if you go back to my original channel, which was called The Leadership Sensei, look at some of those early videos. Look at some of the early videos in this channel. You know, they're not great. And probably this one isn't great either. And if I come back to this one in 3 years' time, I'll probably cringe and go, oh, gee, that's not very good at all. But you've got to start somewhere, right? If you don't start, you'll be 10 years down the track and you'll be going, God, I wish I had have done. And it's just living a life of regret. Start, do something. You'll improve along the way. And your 80% in 3 years' time will be so much higher than your 80% today. But at least you've done something and shared your wisdom, shared your knowledge, shared whatever it is, your product or service with the world. Whatever it's going to be, whether it's at work, in your own business, in your life with your family. Do something. And work out the time frame that you want to achieve that in. Because if you put a time limit on it, it creates a deadline. Now there's a principle out there, I think it's called the Peters principle, and I could have this principle completely wrong. but people will fill the amount of time they're given with work. So you'll fill up the amount of work to a time frame that you're given. If you're given 1 day, you'll do everything you need to do in that 1 day. If you're given 2 weeks, you'll still be busy, but you'll still get the product out at the end of 2 weeks. So give yourself a reasonable, realistic time frame as well. So if I can share anything with you, it's what to focus on next. So what I quite often do with my clients is I actually have a template tool that I have, which is I look at the big object, the big objective, the big goal, the big outcome, whatever it is that I want to achieve. Whether it's in business, whether it's in life, whether it's in health, might be in your finances. There's a few different areas of life, and I actually use the wheel of life with most of my clients, if not all of my clients. And it focuses on the different aspects of your life which are quite important. Whether it be family, relationships, money, business, fun, being able to relax, being part of relationships, being able to grow your own personal well-being, and personal growth, big elements of your life, right? So work out what's important to you and work through those. Once you have the big goal for each of those areas, or just pick one area, pick a big goal, what you can then do is work out, okay, so if that's my big goal, what are 12 little goals that I can do along the way to achieve that one big one? And you'll notice I said 12. And that's because there's 12 months in the year. So you can actually pull out your calendar and go, okay, so to get this at the end of the year, in January I need to do X, February I need to do Y, and just work your way through. Then from that we have a set of sub-goals. Now from that we can work down into weekly goals. So if I need to achieve, goal X at the end of January, what are 4 goals underneath that I can do to achieve that one? And then from that we have then weekly goals, and from that we can go daily. So what one thing I can do each day to achieve that goal by the end of the week? And I normally do that in a 90-day cycle, right? So I don't go and plan out 12 months, because 12 months, you think about trying to plan out goals for 365 days. Gee, I almost forgot how many days in the year there were. So 365 days, that's where overwhelm kicks in, right? But most of us can do 90 days. It's just 3 months. What am I going to get done at the end of 90 days? 3 months, 12 weeks. And ideally we'll do something every day, but I actually prefer to have a day off. I believe there is a day of rest that we should have. So whether that's for religious beliefs or social beliefs, whatever, I think it's just nice to recuperate. If you look at nature, the cycle of nature tends to have that rest cycle built into it. And a lot of indigenous tribes will actually move around to do that as well. So I think it's really important to learn from nature and learn from what has already done and gone before us. So I do that goal every day. Just pick one goal. It might be ring 5 people. It might be call your mentor and ask for some advice. They don't need to be earth-shattering, change the world, bring global peace type goals. They can be just simple goals. But the beauty of breaking them down is that at the end of 90 days, you've potentially achieved 90 things that you would not have done if you hadn't broke it down. So this is about taking that big picture, bringing it into bite-sized chunks, and doing one thing at a time. Just do whatever you can do next, and do it to the best of your ability. I'm not saying that you need to be perfect every day. The best on one day may not be the same as the best on your next day, depending on how you're feeling. You might be too tired, whatever it's going to be, but at least give it your best shot every single day. So there we have it, guys. What are we going to do next, and what are we going to focus on? Or what are we going to focus on to do next to move ourselves forward to our goal? So some of those steps are, again, get the end goal very clear in your mind. Step back, take a breath. And in that breath, take the opportunity to reprioritize what you're going to do. Agree with yourself that you're going to do an 80% solution. Don't overbake it. And also give yourself a time frame of when you want to achieve. And then you can start breaking down your goals into bite-sized chunks by month, by week, by days. Hope that's helped. Love to hear your feedback in the comments below, and look forward to the next video.